Hi, Mike Kennedy with you. We're going to talk about cameras, and we're going to talk about the TLR, or twin lens reflex. Okay, we draw a simple camera. We basically have a box with a lens on it of some sort and a film plane. Okay, now of course you can point this in a certain direction, but you don't see what you get. Now, box cameras had different viewfinders and things, so you could approximate what you saw. But the twin lens reflex went another step, put another box on top with another lens in it and a mirror. So the image would bounce up and hit the ground glass. Usually there was a little hood around here so that you could see the image. And this was very accurate for viewing. And it's interesting to note when you're looking at a piece of ground glass, you tend to view the subject more as a print, as a finished print. When you have an SLR where you look directly through the lens, you don't notice some of the distractions. So there are some definite advantages to looking at an image in a ground glass and seeing it presented kind of as a print. So now we're going to look at a single lens reflex that I have here, an older one. This is a Rollie, an older one, but you can see it has two lenses. The lens on the bottom will project the light over here to the film plane. We have a way to wind the film. And we have a lens here that takes the image and projects it down on this piece of ground glass. Okay? So with this, you could hold it like at waist level. These were called waist level finders, and you could compose the image and focus it. Now, what they had that was nice, this one, besides having the waist level option, this one has another mirror in it, so we can pull the mirror up if we do it correctly and lock it in place. There. Now we can have it at eye level and look through. The mirror projects down and we can see that piece of ground glass again with the image on it. Twin lens reflexes normally came with normal lenses, although some were made with wide angle or telephoto lenses. But generally they were made with normal lenses, which would be around 75 millimeters for the square 120 format. Some of the cameras had like a sports finder. When you could flip this part out so that you would just look through a hole here, and then there would be a frame, open frame here, and it would allow you to approximate what you would see. Some other models had a magnifying lens that would pop up, similar to this popping up. It would pop up straight, then you could look down into the camera and you could focus it more critically. Okay, now we'll just mention parallax. Parallax means that what this lens sees and what this lens sees isn't exactly the same because they're in two different places. Well, normally that isn't a problem until you start getting really close to something. And normally cameras like this didn't focus that close, so it really wasn't that much of a problem. This focuses down to 0.8 meters, which is a little under 3 feet. And at that distance, the amount of parallax is negligible. Now, some cameras would have parallax correction. In other words, if you went out further with the lens so you could focus closer, there would be markings inside the camera to show you what you would actually be seeing or not seeing. Okay? And I had a Mamiya C33, and instead of being solid construction like this, it actually had a bellows. And you could bring that lens quite a ways out, so you could focus closer. And then, when you're focusing closer, parallax does become a problem. Now, the advantage to the Mamiya I had was it had interchangeable lenses. In other words, this part would come off, and you'd put a new part on, and you could have a wide angle or a telephoto lens that you could put on there as well. Now, some of the companies that made, Rollie, of course, they were always considered the top of the line twin lens reflex camera. Not that they didn't make some other ones, but there were some other companies that made them too. Minolta made one, Yashica made one, Mamiya made one, I mentioned. The Yashica Mat 124G was one that was very popular, Minolta autocord, and then the Mamiya had several different versions, which I believe the last version was a C330. And of course, as they went up in model numbers, they had more complexity. You would find ones with meters, without meters, different things like that, with coupling, without coupling. This one doesn't have a meter at all. And but I just thought I would introduce this concept of the twin lens reflex camera.